very much for your participation, and let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so on tonight's interview, it is my great pleasure to introduce a guy that I met through Facebook. We're in the same Facebook group, a real estate Facebook group. He lives in San Diego, California, and he's going to tell you more about his background and stuff. But without further ado, I want to introduce you to Gary Horton. Gary, you there?
I'm here, Ray. I'm here, man. I'm excited to be on.
Okay, great. All right, so Gary, in 2 minutes, can you give the people an overview of who you are and what makes you different?
Absolutely. Well, Gary Horton, grew up here in San Diego, living here now. As far as what makes me different, I mean, that's never been the problem. I've never been accused of being normal before in any way. So, I think for me, a lot of people might have a big passion or drive for kind of maybe some of the luxury cars and the mansions and some of that. And, my purpose is kind of more simpler. I just want to kind of provide for the family, be able to build up that passive income where, I own my time and I can spend it with my family and be helping people out and just not be, choose what I want to do. So that's kind of really my drive.
Awesome. Okay, now Gary, he's also a licensed real estate agent. So my second question is, what made you decide to get in real estate, and what are some advantages and disadvantages to being a licensed real estate agent?
Absolutely. Well, as far as getting into real estate, it's hard for me to go back and remember not wanting to be in real estate. I mean, the way you can leverage, lenders, financing other people's money to be able to own an asset that you can have a renter be paying off and be cash flowing and have a property manager take care of it. It's real. So for me, looking at the stock market or bonds and other investments like that, just don't interest me at all. So I just feel like real estate's the best investment in the world. So I've always been drawn to it in that way. And that's kind of what led me to get my license in the first place, is just to have something, whether it was the first home my wife and I bought, just to being able to represent yourself and use your commission towards a down payment and things like that. But some of the advantages is just having access to not just the MLS, which in your area, but like the realist, where you can look at property, see who owns it, all the history very, very quickly. It's really nice to have that control. And then also, for wholesaling properties, there's sellers that, that cash offer doesn't quite fit, but they're open to selling it, and I can list it for them and get them more money if they're willing to wait a little bit. So I've been able to convert leads from wholesaling to listing that without my license I wouldn't be able to do. Some of the, maybe the negative part is you have to disclose that. So some people have a negative connotation with realtors. They don't want to talk or work with the realtor. When you send out marketing and stuff, you do have to disclose that you're a licensed real estate agent in the state of California for me. So it does have, a few little drawbacks. Overall, I'm not going to get rid of it. I like having it, and I do that business as well. So. Okay, great. All right, so the next question is, what has been the biggest challenge that you've experienced being in the San Diego area, especially being this a very competitive market? What have been some of the challenges and stuff you've experienced since you've been an investor and an agent? Yeah, probably, for the San Diego market, it's a hot, competitive market. At times it feels like it's a little bit saturated, where you just have a lot of competition. You have a lot of people, wholesaling, a lot of people that are just flippers that used to get deals, from other methods, that those kind of dry up. And so now even flippers are doing direct mail and going direct to the source, trying to get deals too. So I'd say that's one of the biggest challenges. You have an average home price in San Diego of around close to $600,000. So, you're talking about more expensive properties. It's harder to get a screaming deal sometimes, and you just have a lot of people in on those deals. So really just kind of getting access where you're the only person talking to the seller was one of the biggest challenges I had. It seemed like you'd have 5 or 7 buyers in on a lot of deals. So it made it competitive and kind of tough wholesaling.
Okay, great. Next question, Gary. Who is someone that inspires you, and tell the people why they inspire you?
Yeah, that's I get inspired, from a lot of people, mostly the family. Like my grandpa, always looked up to him. He was just a great family man. He wouldn't spend money. He had a lot of money, but wouldn't spend it on a lot of things except for if it was related to the family. taking 25 people in the family on a cruise or doing something like that. He really kind of, was a good example for me to kind of showing me the priorities. Just, a great man of God and a great family man, just like my dad too, who's only just, worked hard and provided and just been a consistent example of, what a husband and father should be. And then that kind of carries on down now where, I'm really inspired and pushed by my kids. I have 3 little kids. My oldest son, Ben, is 4. I have boy-girl twins that just turned 2. So, it's not hard for me to find a why or motivation or a reason to just grind and pursue when things are tough, because I don't have another choice. And, I just want to provide for them and provide a life where we're spending time together and doing fun stuff. So.
Okay, great. All right. So the next question is, how did you get into flipping vacant lots, and can you briefly explain how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off, wholesaling, got a pretty sweet deal. Not right out the gates, but, after maybe 2 months or something, it was a nice $20,000 assignment, super quick, super clean. And I kind of thought at that point it was all downhill from there, and just found that wasn't quite the case, that it was just going to be, each deal was going to be a little bit tough until I really built up enough momentum and just felt like maybe I'd get a deal every other month. But it just seemed like it took so much for me to get those deals. But having that wholesaling background was really nice, because a lot of the marketing and direct mail and systems and using Podio and things that I was already doing, I was listening to a podcast. They had a guest on there talking about, flipping vacant lots. And it just kind of connected and resonated with me, because it made sense that, people that own a vacant land that has no structures, nothing on it, they're not going to be quite as attached to it. And, they're probably going to be willing to let that go for a discount, or it's going to be a little bit easier to find those deals. So I just kind of slowly pursued it and started doing a little bit of marketing and things. And it was almost surprising to me what kind of response you get. In San Diego, you send out a lot of direct mail. I'd send out one campaign that was, 3,000 postcards, and, you get some tire kickers and some calls, but, I didn't even get a deal from that. So on the land side, it's very different. You get a lot higher response. Most people that own cheap vacant lots, they're not getting mailed to. They're not getting, people interested as much. So you get a lot better response rate. And really, it's kind of how it goes is, I'm not doing any development. I'm not doing anything to the lots. I don't even go see the lots. I'm in San Diego, but I'll buy lots, in any state. It doesn't really matter. You can pay someone on Craigslist $50 to go see and take pictures and a video or things like that too, and verify if what's out there. But basically what it works is, you're advertising just like you would for any other deal, but specifically for lots. So you can post ads, online ads, send out direct mail, tax delinquent, expired listings, things like that. And I typically just send straight offers. I don't mess around with, hey, I'm interested in your lot, give me a call. It's like, hey, here's what I'm willing to pay. So I do a little bit more diligence on the front end for looking at the market, looking at prices and that kind of stuff, and then just firing out those offers. And the only way to sell vacant land quickly is to sell it pretty cheap. So you got to sell it cheaper than anyone else has it advertised for. So that means you got to get it for pennies. So it's kind of like you're buying land for pennies, selling it for nickels, and but you're not doing anything to it, and it's a pretty quick turnaround.
Okay, great. So what about when it comes to valuations and, because I know, of course, we got the R for real estate or properties and stuff with houses. How do you evaluate a vacant lot? How did you come up? What kind of formula do you use for your lots to come up with your offer?
Yeah, so really with land, there's a couple ways. One, you can try to pull up comps. The nice thing about land is it's very simple. There's not a lot to it. It's just a vacant lot. It's just a piece of dirt. You don't have the variables that you do with housing when you're looking at, what condition is it in, how many repairs, what's ARV, trying to figure out these things, and then, now the foundation's bad. You don't have that many variables. You really just have kind of zoning and land use and a few little things. So what I'll look at is there's some websites. You can use Zillow and some of those too, but landwatch.com is a site where people sell a lot of land, and there's also one called landandfarm.com. Those are probably the two biggest ones. So typically I'll just pull up those sites, and you can look and see, hey, what are other people selling for? And if there's, 1 acre lots in this area, they're selling for, people are trying to sell them for $5,000. and it stands to reason, well, hey, if I have one I'm selling for 3,000, that's going to be, and I have it marketed better with pictures and stuff that the other guys don't, that's going to be a more attractive option. So then I know, hey, if I'm going to sell it for 3,000, I'm going to try to buy it for 1,000. Usually on flipping land on cash deals, I'm going to try to get 3 times the amount of money I pay for it. So you kind of work backwards similarly like that, but that's kind of the ratio and the way that works. And one quick thing too is these lots are so cheap. The first lot I ever bought, Ray, was $500. I mean, I've spent way more than that on a direct mail campaign.
Okay.
So to be able to actually buy a lot, own it free and clear for $500, it's not that big of a risk. It's kind of a small barrier to entry. And then maybe you're going to flip that for $1,500 or $2,000 and, not a huge profit margin and a dollar amount, but there's no shortage of deals. It's kind of the opposite of wholesaling, where in land, it's easier to find the deals. And the trick is more finding the buyers on that end, where it seems like in wholesaling, it's all about finding the deals. At least in the San Diego market, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cash buyers looking to flip homes. So if you have a deal, it's no problem to unload it. So it's kind of a little opposite like that.
Okay. A couple of questions that came through. First of all, can you repeat those 2 websites you just mentioned? And someone also asked, is it harder to sell vacant lots?
Yeah, so for the first question, the websites is Land Watch, just like a wristwatch, so landwatch.com. And the other one is Land and Farm, so landandfarm.com. And those are just two big sites that, you'll see a ton of land ads on there. I kind of consider that kind of like the market for land. So when I'm going and evaluating a lot, I go on there to see kind of what's the market like, what are people asking for lots and that kind of stuff. And it can also be a good way to find people that are selling for lots for way more. Hey, maybe they want to buy your lot because it's going to be so much cheaper. And then the second question, as far as is it tough to sell lots? So I would say the competition for selling cheap lands isn't very good. It's kind of a space where for realtors, the commission is so low that, $250 or something, they're not that interested. They'll post a picture of a plat map and that's it. There's no pictures of the land. There's not a lot of information. Usually those ads are very poorly done. And it's so cheap too that you don't really have builders, looking at buying lots that are this cheap and aren't really, build ready. So it's kind of a little niche where you don't have as much competition in it. So to sell it, it can be challenging, but that's why you just have to make a good ad. You have to get pictures, get a video, dig a little bit with the county, have your virtual assistant or assistant, get some information so you can make your package. So when you're selling your land, it's the best price lot in that area and it's the best ad with the most information and most pictures. And the other thing that's nice is you build that buyer's list. So when you get a lot of tire kickers, a lot of people that are kind of interested but not quite sure, and they kind of stay on, but it's very common to get lots in the same area. So then you can just kind of send them directly to people that you have already expressed interest. And sometimes you don't even need to post an ad because you can just send out an email or text to your buyers list, and people they're already wanting them, and we'll just close on them pretty quickly. So I think if you buy it right, then you can sell it for a good profit quickly.
Okay, so a couple more questions. When you say buying it, are you assigning the lots, or are you taking title to them? And then the other question is, what kind of lots are these? Are they vacant land? Have they been developed? Were there houses and stuff there? Are they wooded? What kind of lots are you referring to? So do you have to take title, and then what kind of lots do you normally focus on?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the coolest things is that, yeah, I'm buying these lots. I'm closing on them myself. Closing is very simple. I'm used to do $500,000 houses with escrow and title and, all these different fees and closing costs and stuff, where with land, it's a one-page grant deed. You just fill it out. It's very simple. And then I'll just use like a mobile notary who will, take the deed to the seller. The seller will sign the deed to and get it notarized. And then they'll get their cashier's check for $300, $500. I buy a lot of very cheap lots. And it's a done deal. Then I own it. So recording in a lot of counties is like $15. It's very, very cheap. So the nice thing is you don't have to worry about finding the money or finding someone else to want the deal. when I get an accepted offer, I already know it's a deal or I wouldn't have made the offer. Again, I'm typically not inviting people to just contact me if they feel like it. It's here's my offer, kind of take it or leave it. So I don't do much negotiation with sellers. They'll just kind of accept the offer and I'll actually close and take title in my name and then sell it. Now, if I got into a more expensive lot that was, $50,000, $100,000 lot, even under that, I would probably look to maybe just assign it. So it's not that you can't do assignments and kind of wholesale land as well. I'm just in a space where the land is so cheap that for $300-$500, you just close on it and buy it and own it. And then, typically under 30 days, sometimes just a week or less, you're already selling it again. So.
Okay. And what about the lots? Are they vacant or what kind of lots are you buying?
Yeah, so most of the lots are kind of more rural areas. Maybe you're going to be 45 minutes outside of a city or town or something. So I know you're out there, in Florida, and you see a lot of, areas in Florida, a lot of lots. There's a lot of land deals and cheap lots in Florida, not right in the city, not right in neighborhoods typically, usually maybe 30 minutes to an hour, a little bit more rural. You typically have either utilities in the area or pretty close. Maybe there's scattered houses around, but for me, sometimes it's desert, sometimes it's mountain, sometimes it's agriculture. Recreational lots. So it's typically not like high-end lots that are in the neighborhood, like infill lots or something like that. It's more a little bit more out, a little bit more rural is kind of the good spot.
Okay, great. Next question. If someone that's listening, if they wanted to get started learning how to flip vacant lots, can you kind of give a brief overview as to what they should do, give them like a detailed steps as to how they need to go about looking for the lots, who they need to target, and what kind of mail pieces they need to send out to get these offers accepted?
Yeah, absolutely. So one kind of funny thing for advertising is, you can put an ad on Craigslist that you buy houses, cash buyer. And from my experience, you won't get one lead from that. Where with land, if you put an ad out saying, hey, I buy land, I buy cheap lots, people actually contact you. People actually are like, oh, you do? Like, okay, well, I have a lot. And, people will try to sell a lot for too much money, or vacant lots sometimes will just sit for years and years. So that's why I say the only way that I know to sell land quickly is to sell it really cheap. So as far as getting started in it, I would say you kind of pick a county, pick an area that's maybe not too far away from you. You can do it anywhere. You can do it from your pajamas in your house, and you don't ever have to leave or go see it, or you could pick any state. But, each county is a little bit different for, recording or information you can get. So I'd pick a pretty good-sized county where you're kind of rural outside of like a major city, and then either using I like to use title companies. I have relationships with a good title company through the realtor side, so I can get lists for, say, delinquent tax list of people that own vacant land that's assessed under, say, $25,000 or $30,000 or something. Boom, and now you've got a list that you can send your direct mail pieces to. I send out offers. That's kind of how I kind of learn, and the people that I know that do it, they don't send just a thing to call them or whatever. It's you kind of spend a little bit of time scrubbing that list. You want to try to box it into where there's a lot of similar lots, and then you'll do a little bit of time analyzing the prices on them and what you want to pay. And then I just send out offers, and it's not uncommon to have like a 1% to 2% acceptance rate. So I'm not talking about a response rate. I'm not talking about someone calling you saying, take me off your list or whatever. I'm saying 1% to 2% deals, signing contracts, sending them back, and then you start your due diligence process. So again, having a title company on your team that can do a quick little title search for free is extremely helpful, because then you're just checking, making sure there's no back taxes, or if there are, how much. On the delinquent taxes, you're going to have some, although I've bought some really good lots that have no delinquent taxes. So don't limit yourself to just the delinquent taxes. Really, anyone who owns a cheap lot is a good candidate, because it's not bringing in any income at all. All they're doing is paying taxes every year. They're probably never going to build on it. Maybe they've never even been there and they just inherited it. So, a delinquent tax list might be a little bit better, but in some areas it's not, because they owe a couple thousand in taxes and then it kind of kills the deal. So really, anyone that owns a cheap lot is kind of really is a pretty good candidate, because if they can just do a quick sale and not have to do anything and just sign a piece of paper and get a check in their hand, some of them are kind of relieved actually to unload it.
Okay, so with the contract that you send to these potential sellers, is it a 1-page, 2-page contract? Do you put an expiration date on it? And do you like send have a return envelope that you send with them? And then too, you said something about once you get the contract back, you do your due diligence then, or do you do it prior to sending them the contract?
Yeah, so I send out the offers first. I do usually put like a 2-3 week expiration date or more, but that's just kind of something to try to get them to respond. I mean, of course, in reality, that date doesn't matter. I mean, I'll do the deal at any time. Once I get that offer back, or even if they just, verbally say, yeah, I'm willing to sell it, because I'm not going to take someone to court over a $500 lot that they signed and said they would sell and then didn't. I mean, that happened to me once out of all the lots. So it's just, you just move on. It's not worth your time to even fuss about. I never paid or anything for it. They just changed their mind when it came time to close. So once I get that agreement back, then I'm doing my due diligence. You can do it all with the county, and there's a couple websites that, you can pay a monthly subscription and get some of that work. I don't, because I have a title company that will do it for free, but I know other people that do like a monthly subscription from a couple sites like Home Infomax and stuff that you can get, lien report, check back taxes and that kind of stuff. Once I verify this is the real owner, there's no liens, the price is good, then I set up the notary. So, there's a website called 123notary.com. You can also check, Yelp or anything to find a notary in their area. Doesn't matter, Colorado, Washington. I've had sellers all over just line up a mobile notary, and then I'll mail the notary, the deed that I prepare and a cashier's check, and then the return envelope. So that notary will go meet with the seller. They, have the deed there. The seller signs the deed and gets it notarized. The notary hands them the check, and then the notary mails me back the deed, and then now I'm the owner, and then I'll send it in for recording. And the other thing, too, is once I have a signed contract and I do my due diligence, I start marketing that lot before I've even closed on it. Coming soon, letting people know. So typically I'm trying to get buyers waiting, so the second it's closed, that's coming in. I've had times where, the guy's ready to send money, and I'm getting the money in like pretty much the same time as I'm getting the deed back, and then I just do a new deed, and it's not like a double close like you'd be familiar with in wholesaling and flipping real estate kind of stuff, but it almost goes that quickly. So that's the way to kind of streamline that process. You're trying to shrink that down. You don't want to own a lot for 60, 90 days, especially if you're starting out and you only have, $500, $800 to kind of build up that capital. You're going to be limited on how many lots you can do. Now, you can still assign a cheap lot. You could partner with someone on it. Money's not a deterrent from it, but for me, the fact that they were so cheap, I've always just closed on them myself.
Okay, couple questions came through. Can you give the name of that website again? HomeInfomax.com?
Yeah, Home Infomax. So Home Infomax, they have a couple different subscriptions, and with land, raw vacant land, a lot of times it won't even have an address to it. You just have an APN number, and that stands for your assessor's parcel number. So most county websites, you just use that APN number. You can type that in, at Home Infomax or a site like that, and then you can pay for those reports to kind of find out, are there any liens, are there any encumbrances? You can check the title. You can look up the history of the deeds to see, when those were recorded, and just make sure it's a clear title. Another thing too, on these cheap lots, I'm not getting title insurance because they're so cheap. I'm willing to take that risk after I do my search and due diligence. But on more expensive lots, I will pay title insurance, and for the seller, and for the buyer that's buying it from me, it's about $400. But like I have a lot right now, the purchase price is $1,000, and there's some back taxes that'll need to be paid after I get the money from the new buyer. But that price that people are waiting on me to get the deed back from and close on is $13,000. So what I did is I thought, man, this is a good lot. I want to be able to advertise that the new buyer is going to get title insurance, that, hey, no one else is offering title insurance for lots this cheap, but I'm going to pay for your title insurance policy. And a lot of people seem to really like that. And if you have enough profit in the deal, I think it makes sense to do that, because then you can use that as a good advertising piece as well.
Okay, great. That's great information, Gary. We really appreciate you sharing that. Someone asked about the builder. How do you know what the builders want? How are you finding your buyers? How does that look?
Yeah, so typically, it's kind of more the opposite. If you're wholesaling and stuff right now, usually the buyers that you're working with are the money guys, the sophisticated flippers, and the sellers are the ones that might be in some distress and having some issues. It's really the opposite in land. The sellers are great. They're very reasonable. They're sharp. They just don't have any use for the land or tired of paying taxes, and just to get $500 and get it off their plate they're fine with it. It's the buyers that are kind of the finicky ones, that maybe it's their first lot. They want to know, hey, can I put an RV on it? Can I camp there? Can I build a tiny house? Can I put a mobile home on it? They don't know. These are not sophisticated buyers that are buying lots for $10,000, $5,000. They're typically not builders. They're just average people that want to own land. And I mean, I've sold a lot as cheap as $1,000, and someone owns a lot free and clear. That's kind of wild. So to some people, just to be able to own land, even if it doesn't have a lot of use, it's still just kind of exciting. So, and the other thing I want to touch on too is there's two sides to the selling part. And if you go to, eBay or those same sites I already mentioned, LandWatch and landandfarm.com, you'll notice a lot of people offer seller financing with land. And that's because, a lot of these buyers, they don't even have $5,000 to buy a lot, but they do have a few $100s down and $100 a month. And so for me, that's what I'm kind of trying to build up now, is a mixture where I'll offer a lot. Let's say I buy a lot, Ray, for $350. That's it, $350.
Okay.
So I'm going to offer that lot for $200 down and $100 a month for, say, like 36 months. So, that's going to be a total sale of $3,800, but over those 3 years. Or you could have it for $1,500 cash discount now. So that way you let the buyer decide, hey, do I have $1,500 to buy this lot? And in their mind, it's like way less than the price of financing. Or, hey, I got $200 and I can afford $100 a month, so I'm going to buy that lot even though I'm paying more for it in the long run. And the cool thing is within a few months, within down payment in 1 month, I've already recouped my investment, but now I have $100 a month coming in. And what happens when you do just 3 lots a month at $100 a month for 3 years? Well, that'd be $3,600 a year. In 3 years, that's $10,000 a month coming in passively on payments, and you've recouped all of your investment, and then you just keep doing that. And 3 lots a month is not much. I mean, this is a paper pushing kind of business. You still got to do your due diligence, and I do want to talk about some challenges just in general of doing anything. But as far as the land goes, you don't need to just sell for a quick cash profit and keep going there. With the seller financing, it kind of opens it up to where you can really build a really nice passive income flow just from financing land, and you're getting your investment back within, sometimes you get all of it or even more just on the down payment.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. All right, guys. So we got a lot of questions coming through, but let me go ahead and ask Gary these couple more questions, and then we're going to go ahead and do a little Q&A session. And Gary, I really appreciate you sharing this information with us. All right, what, in your opinion, Gary, what separates a successful investor from an unsuccessful investor?
That's tough, and I feel like for me, if you're watching or wondering, I haven't made it. I'm making it. I'm making it right now every day. I'm out there fighting for it and getting better and increasing my deals and that kind of stuff. So what I've seen. Because you always want to surround yourself with people like Ray, and Ray's checking in on you, and hey, Ray, what are you doing? What's working? And you're trying to see what works for people or what characteristics they have, and it's really, I think it just comes down to not quitting. I mean, there's a lot of factors, but when you really look at it, if you don't quit, you can't fail. And that doesn't mean you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. If it's not working, you need to get better. You need to improve stuff. But I mean, at some point, if you just never quit, like, you're going to find something. You're going to settle into some niche. You're going to figure out some way to make money and make it work, and then just keep getting better and better at it. So when I see people that are successful, I almost never talk to anyone that's successful that just right out the gate was crushing it and did well and didn't have some terrible things happen. Because if you're in business for yourself and you're going after it, you're going to have bad days. You're going to have big challenges. You're going to be on a roller coaster where some days you feel just invincible and destined for greatness, and you're going to have days where you're just kind of questioning what you're doing, and other things seem easier, and other people, other markets are better, other strategies are better. But bottom line, the successful people, you just have to have a persistence and just a never quit attitude, to where whatever it takes, you got to go all in, because whatever you do, it's tough if you're going to get discouraged and try a few things and then quit. That never works.
Yeah, and I'm glad Gary brought that point up, because he and I, we've chatted a few times in the past, and I know a couple of times he has been discouraged prior to finding these vacant lots and stuff, and so it's real easy to do, guys. And so I'm glad that he brought that up, because sometimes you may look at where you are, look at where someone else is, and be like, well, why does it work for them and not for me? Or what is it that I'm not doing right? Or that person is doing wrong, or that they're doing right and I'm doing wrong. But you got to keep going. You got to stay persistent, and you got to stay committed. And if you don't give up, if you don't quit, it's going to happen for you. So a couple more questions. If you had to do it all over again, Gary, what would you change?
Well, for me, I kind of real quick, my story was I went to college, had the salary jobs, kind of project management, estimating stuff, just, working a lot, and just was miserable and didn't like it. So, the opportunity for me kind of came where, we had bought a house in 2011 that had appreciated a good amount just because of the market. And there was just a window where I was just, I was tired of getting home after my kids were already asleep. And I didn't like my job at all. I was so into real estate. I'm listening to podcasts all the time at work, and, trying to get things started. But it just felt like, as much as I worked, and then with family life, it was just so hard to really force the time or make the time to get the results. So I just felt like, look, we can sell our house, we can cash out. I'm going to quit my job and just go for it. And that's what I did. And I don't know if I would. I mean, it's hard, because you want to set it up to where you already have things in motion when you make that switch. But for me, maybe I never would have got it in motion, or got the business good enough to a point where I felt like I could have quit. So, if I had it to do over again and did it perfect, I don't know if I would have did it at all. So I guess that's kind of part of it, where I would just say some advice would be to, as much as momentum and as much deals and experience as you can have going into, say, quitting a job or really going after it, the better. And then also, it's just, can you join with someone? Is there someone that's doing it well, and you can say, hey, can I help you out for free and just learn the business? What can I do to help you out? Can I just go look at properties? Can I just watch you analyze, make deals, and then find deals for you? I mean, we all want to, you have that entrepreneurial spirit, and you want to just be your own boss and do your own thing. But most people, when you step into a job, there's some sort of training, there's some sort of guides, there's someone you can ask questions to. And in this kind of business, man, you get excited about wholesaling, you get a course or something, you just go for it, and then you're just stuck on forums asking questions, and everyone's giving you different answers, and you don't really know what to do. So, you need to have a mentor. You need to have someone you can work with. That's the best thing you can do. I didn't have as much of that up front, and it's just gonna speed it up. So don't be intimidated or too prideful to help someone else out in order to learn. Because if it's a business you've never done before, if you've never wholesaled a house before, it's kind of hard to go from nothing to having a wholesaling business. So maybe there's a little bit of transition where you can help someone else out and learn the experience, and then all of a sudden you really know it before you go in and do it all the way. Okay, great. And one last question, Gary. What are the 3 things a newbie investor needs to know before starting out in this real estate venture? Yeah, I would say I mean, because it's so exciting, and I mean, you're hearing about people that are just crushing it, and they went from a place where they were not doing too well, and now they're doing great, and they love their life, and they have these more freedoms and stuff, and that's all true. But what I'm going to tell you is that you need to be prepared to work harder than you've ever worked before. You need to be prepared to be rejected and embarrassed more than you ever have before, and you need to be ready to make less money than maybe you're used to or you ever have before. And if you can understand that it's going to be hard and you're going to get rejected and the money's not going to come quick, then your expectations are probably going to be in the right place. Because if you think you're going to just start doing something and in 30 days you're going to be off and running and never looking back, you're in the 1% or less of people that go after it. You need to be ready to take some lumps and take some bruises. But I mean, my promise to you would just be, if you keep getting better and you keep surrounding yourself with good people and you have coaching and you never quit, you can't fail. If you don't quit, you will make it.
And I'm going to reiterate what Gary just said. He said 3 very key important things. He said you got to be willing to work harder than you ever worked before. You got to be willing, be aware that you're going to get rejected. And the third thing is make less money. And Gary told you that he has a college degree and he had a pretty stable job. And he's also a family man with 3 kids. He has twins. And so he went out on this real estate venture and he's taking a chance. And I'm sure that him and his wife, they're on one accord. But I know it's been challenging. But here he sits right now, sharing his story with you. And it's all because he stayed committed and stayed persistent, okay? And so at this point, these are the 3 questions I had to ask Gary. I really appreciate you for that. We're going to open it up for a little Q&A. We have asked some questions throughout. So, guys, I got you on my phone. So go ahead and start asking some questions, and I will relay them to Gary because he can't really see them now. So go ahead and ask your questions, and I'll try to get to as many as we can. And you're very welcome, Pam. So go ahead and ask your question, guys. I know I think somebody asked about the Dodd-Frank, being that you're doing some seller financing with the land and stuff. Is that an issue? The Dodd-Frank, I'm not even really familiar with the Dodd-Frank, but I think it has something to do with the financing.
Oh, no, that's a great question. I'm glad that's asked, Ray. So what people are talking about is if you're doing seller financing, Dodd-Frank, and there's some legislature in place that puts a lot of restrictions. So one of the beauties of raw vacant land is you're not regulated by that because there are no tenants. There is no one living on the property. It's just vacant land. So Dodd-Frank is not in effect with vacant land. And the other nice thing is that, when I'm doing a land sale contract, I buy the land, I have the deed, it's in my name, and then I'm doing seller financing. I don't transfer that deed until the property is paid for in full. So the entire time, it's in my name, I own it, I'm collecting payments. If someone stops making payments, I'm pretty sure the number of days is the longest you're gonna go is a total of 65 days. At that point, you're able to foreclose, on the land, or just the contract's canceled because they didn't make their payments according to the contract, and then now the contract's void. You still own the land. You already have the pictures and the ad and everything ready to go. You just put it back up online or send it out to your buyers list and sell it again. So it's really not in a mean way, but it's no problem at all if someone defaults and quits paying because they've already made a down payment, they've made some monthly payments, and then if they stop, well, no big deal. You just sell it again. So maybe you're going to go 65 days. I think the contract I use, that's the most I'll go 65 days without getting the payment. And it's a bummer. It's not what you want to happen, but as far as the cash flow goes, you can just quickly sell it again. And that's why it's important to make sure for me, when I do seller financing, I'm going to get all my investment back pretty much on the down payment and then maybe down payment in the first month or something. So it's not like, I'm buying a lot for $5,000 and then I'm getting $200 a month and it's going to take me 4 years to get even my money back. This is like instantly I'm already made whole again, and then I'm just cash flowing. So those are kind of some of the nice features about raw land and being able to do the seller financing with it.
Okay, great response. Any other questions coming through? And we do appreciate Gary taking the time to come out. He is 3 hours behind. I'm on the East Coast here in North Carolina. He's in San Diego, so he's 3 hours behind, but, he's a very busy guy. So how long did it take you to get your first deal? Excuse me, guys. How long did it take, Gary, for you to get your first deal?
So the first land deal, I would say it would probably have been less than, maybe about 20, 25 days. I actually just was posting ads on Craigslist, just saying, hey, I buy vacant lots. If you're looking for retail, keep looking, but, I do buy, I'm a cash buyer. I will buy lots. I buy a lot of lots under $1,000 or something like that. You just put the vibe out of what you're looking for. And, lo and behold, people are hitting me up and emailing saying, hey, I got this lot. I got this lot. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe all these people are just, more than happy to sell them. And so it was just an older lady. She lived in Colorado. And the first lot I bought was $500. And it took me a little over 30 days to sell that one. And I had all these deals kind of piling up, but I was a little bit hesitant. Just like, I want to close one first and sell it and go all the way through the cycle before I start buying more and get this inventory that I can't sell or something. So once that lot sold, I'm like, okay, great. Now I got more money, triple your money. And now I'm going to buy more lots. And then I'm at a point now where that's kind of one of my goals for the next month, even less than 90 days is, I need to get an assistant. I've used virtual assistants and they can be a great value to your business. For this, though, I just want someone here locally that's just a rock star that's awesome. And a lot of times it's just, mailing stuff, filling out paperwork, filling out deeds, posting ads. It's not the most complicated or challenging things, but I just need someone who's an awesome task doer that can just really help me out. So that's the issue now. It's where sometimes I'll even stop mailing. I'll stop posting ads because it's really like that, where I have more deals to close on, than I need, or you have so many, it's like, I don't need to send out another mail. I'm already getting bombarded. So it's kind of weird like that, where, I've put out a lot of ads and stuff trying to get good deals on the wholesale housing. And, it's been tougher with the land. Getting the deals is actually maybe even easier than selling them, or once you get better at building that buyer's list and you kind of catch up to it. But as far as finding the deals goes, I think people would be surprised if they started mailing vacant landowners offers.
Okay, so we have 3 more questions. I'm going to go ahead and ask you all 3 of them now, and then we're going to have to go ahead and wrap this up because we are getting a little lengthy on time. First thing is, do you use a skip tracing company? The second question is Craigslist or direct mail? Which one did you do first? And the third question is, what size lots do you normally get? Are they small lots, large lots, and are they residential and commercial? Do you remember all those questions?
I do. So for skip tracing, I have a virtual assistant that I think they use, like Intellis or something like that. So I'll have them do some of the skip tracing, but I really haven't gotten the best results. I mean, if I'm looking for someone that's, say, a lot of times some of these people that are on a tax delinquent list for cheap land, that's the same address the county has, everyone has, and it's not a good address, and maybe that's why they're not paying their taxes or something. But I haven't had a great success ratio of being able to find those people. But for me, it's like I just move on. There's so many people, it's not a big deal. What was the second question? I know the third one was lot size.
The second question was, which did you do first, Craigslist or direct mail?
Yeah, so I'd say it was kind of at the same time. I started, getting the mailing going and posting ads. Probably started posting ads first, and it seemed like, man, I'm getting a lot of traction on the ads. And then, on the mailing, it's funny. Sometimes, like, one of the best deals I've ever gotten on land, it was an offer I had mailed maybe 2-3 months before, probably 3 months before. And then just out of the blue, I just got a letter from their attorney just saying that, if your offer is still good, they'd like to accept it and this and that. So, immediately, I mean, anyone right now can start putting ads on a Craigslist or, Backpage or some sites in their area or, counties kind of around them or something and see what happens. And within a couple of days, you'll probably get a few people that are interested in that kind of stuff. The direct mail, of course, is nice because, if you want to mail out, 1,000, 2,000 people a month and schedule it and it's exact targeted and with the offers, because on the ads, that's where you kind of don't want to be in the negotiation business of having people, well, I'm interested, but I want too much for it. And then they're kind of wasting your time. So, at this point now, it's like you can see the advantage of the direct mail because I'm just sending someone direct offers, and sometimes they negotiate a little bit back from that offer, but typically you either get no response or they just accept it. So, you kind of want to be more in the offer business, not really the negotiation business, because, you kind of know what you need to buy the land at to make it a deal, and if you can't get it, then you just kind of move on. And then as far as lot size goes, for me, it's all across the board. The smallest lot I've ever bought is 2,500 square feet. Tiny lot, 25 by 100 feet. That's typically more like kind of mountain stuff, where lots are smaller. If you go out to the desert areas, I've probably would just be maybe 2.5 acres, but I've had offers out on 80-acre properties before. So it kind of depends on your area. If you're in a big desert or agricultural area where lots are just typically bigger, then your ranch lots, you see a lot of Colorado, Nevada, Arizona ranch stuff where it's common to see 40 acres, 80-acre lots and that kind of stuff, where other areas, just typical, quarter-acre lots, just normal home site lots are pretty common too. So the lot size range is really all across the board.
Awesome. Well, look, guys, we're 50 minutes into this, so we want to go ahead and be respectful of Gary's time, and I also want to be respectful of your time. So that concludes this interview today. I'm sure you guys got a lot of value out of it. Gary, he shared how things work. Closing remarks, Gary, if by some chance somebody wants to reach out to you and get in contact with you, please give me your contact information and go ahead and give any kind of closing remarks you want to make before we go ahead and sign off.
Okay, great. Well, first, just my contact info. Probably the easiest would just be if you want to shoot me an email. It's just Gary, Gary, at propertyinvestmentengineers.com. So just shoot me an email, and definitely be happy to hear from you. As far as in closing remarks, Ray, I'd probably like to say something to you. We did meet through Facebook and through kind of a real estate investing mastermind group. It was kind of exciting to see you just having such momentum and just doing so well, and it was definitely inspiring and motivating to me as I was getting started. And I can really tell you, this is the truth, is that when I got my first $20,000 wholesale deal, after telling my wife, there wasn't anyone else I was more excited to tell than you. I was so excited to tell you because my wife was like, "Oh, okay, cool, that's great, yay," But for me, I just was like, I can't wait to tell Ray Mabry. I finally got my first deal, Ray, and you've just kind of kept in touch with me, checking in. Just I can tell you're just a man with a good heart, and that's why I've just kind of always wanted to be in touch and kind of see what you're doing and kind of root you on too. So I wanted to say thanks for that, and just your personality and the energy that you bring is contagious and stuff. So thank you for what you do, and I know you got a lot of students that are very appreciative and thankful of what you do as well.
Awesome, man. See, that means a lot. I'm telling you, I didn't know Gary was going to say that, so I really, really appreciate him saying that. And that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. That's why I share this information every day, and I want to bring quality people on like Gary because, the way it's set up, we all can be profitable. We all can go out here and have success. It's not just one person succeeds and everybody else struggles. This is an industry where everybody can go out here and we all can eat and flourish and have great lifestyles and create lifestyles that we desire. And so that's why I'm super excited to rub elbows with somebody like Gary. He's a quality guy, and we just talked offline. We're gonna meet up sometime this year. I mean, I'll probably fly out there or somewhere close by. We're gonna meet up and hang out and just talk about real estate and hopefully get a chance to meet his family. He meets mine, and that's what it's all about. But look, guys, thank you very much. What I do is I tally up the hearts and stuff. And if I don't get a chance to come back to you this evening, I'll definitely come to you tomorrow and let you know who the winner is. I really appreciate your time again. Really appreciate you guys for joining. Sorry couldn't answer all the questions, but we are over 50 minutes into this, so we want to go ahead and log off. But that's our time for now. Until next time, this is Gary and your boy Ray Mabry signing off. So until next time, peace.